about design trends that's happening in 2022. We want to give you some information about that in case you're doing your own renovation or new build, so that you know what to look out for. And I may have some time in the end to actually answer some questions. So if you want, post it up, and I will answer some questions that you may have. So we'll use this time wisely. It'll be a 15-minute live, so it'll be quite quick. So let's get right at it. Now, if we're talking trends, the last 2 years, of course, has been crazy. It's been different completely with COVID, pre-COVID and post-COVID. So COVID plays a big factor in the trends for sure. And now with the Ukraine-Russia war that's happening, even more turmoil and uncertainty in this world. So that's all driving the trends that we experience in our spaces, in our design spaces, our homes. So I want to dive right into it and cover that. Number one, I'm going to give you 5 trends for 2022. And number one is multi-function spaces. So multi-function spaces have started actually. The house that I was in about 7 years ago, I did a multifunctional room, and it's just getting to be more and more popular. But the idea is, with COVID, everyone's at home more, and they're reassessing their lifestyles after the last 2 years. So what they realize is that they don't have to have a huge house. They can downsize and they can combine spaces. One of the big trends that we see, especially in Vancouver, North America, is we used to have those living rooms and family rooms separated. But more and more, I'm telling my clients to consider how they're actually using those spaces. Most often, they're just using one of the rooms. So why are we wasting all of the square footage? So instead, let's combine it. The house that I designed, that I talked about, is what we did was we took the living room, which is typically just for guests, turned it into a music room, a chess games room, and a conversation room. So now you're having 4 functions plus the living room. You're having 4 functions into one, which is great. And it's maximizing the usage of that square footage, which is precious these days, especially in Vancouver. Trend number 2 is organic modern style. This is a new trending style, which I will see continuing on through to 2022. I'll see if I can post up some photos here of some houses that we've done, which is this organic modern, but it's basically a modern aesthetic without the hard edges of the typical minimalist modern. Instead, we're layering in curves, organic textures, and soft colors, which brings that nice, softer version of the modern aesthetic. So trend number 3, let's talk about colors. Color trends. Soft hues and naturals will continue as the world gets more and more tumultuous. People in their home want tranquility. They want peace and soft and all of that down to earth natural stuff. So you're going to see naturals, woods, blondes are very big. You're going to see soft hues, beiges, browns, blues, greens, something that's comforting and welcoming and calming, easy on the eyes. So that's a key thing for colors. Now, in terms of materials, designers will continue to explore more with textures. This could be as simple as a tongue and groove board, so that you get these vertical lines on the wall or in the ceiling. Add some architectural interest, and injecting a bit of that earthy texture. You can either paint it or stain it. And like I said, blonde wood is a great tone this year. Or it could be one of the many 3D tiles, 3D texture tiles out there. The porcelain technology has come so far. There's so many interesting textures that come out every single year. So you've got lots of choices there. Go to a tile store like Fontile or Ames Tile. They all have really great options for textures. It could also be a wall covering. A wall covering is great. This is like a wall vinyl or a wallpaper, but there's some with subtle textures, whether that's a rattan, if you want to say natural, or a stretch fabric. There's lots of great subtle textures that can be had with wall covering. Now, the biggest tip here is make sure you use lighting. Lighting really brings texture out. If you're putting texture on your wall, you're spending good money on maybe the one 3D tiles, and you're not lighting that wall, that's money wasted. So make sure you control your lighting, use it to highlight your texture. And of course, the biggest trend that is happening and continuing is renovations. We're seeing, especially this year, we're seeing renovations over new build. We are doing so much more renovations now. And if you look at everything that's happening around the world, COVID, people are staying home more, inflation concerns, costs going rising, delays. So people are kind of going away from the new build if they can. If they can't afford it, especially with mortgage and all that stuff, and they're doing renovation. They're reassessing their current home. They're looking at maybe improving their yard space, adding a barbecue deck space, or a putting green or something else to the yard to make it more usable rather than just grass out there. We do a lot of that with our landscape design, and also the home office is a huge thing with COVID. People are working away home. People are working from home and away from the office more now. So they're turning spaces that they had not fully utilized into home office. It could be a playroom with a desk and a home center, or we've done before kitchens with a home center. You know, with technology these days, a laptop is all you really need. So we design a nice built-in desk into the kitchen space, of course, define it nicely so it's functionally separated. But you can have a mail sorting station, a cupboard dedicated to that, maybe a small filing drawer, a plug-in center for the laptop, or maybe when wall mount the monitor. So there's many options there. We're doing a lot of that. So renovations is definitely the trend there. And people are just finding that it's cheaper, it's faster to do renovations over new build. Of course, you know, we still do new builds, and even within that, all of the trends that I talked about, the previous 4 trends, are being seen in the new builds. So I hope that gives you some ideas of the 5 big trends that we're seeing in Vancouver, Canada, and actually even North America. And then, you know, you can use that to help you with your renovations. So right now, I'd like to see if there's any questions that's posted up and we can answer. Yeah, okay, so this is from one of our social media followers, Miss Jay-Z. And the question is, what are the first steps? Do you suggest that clients meet with you to discuss style? From Angela. Oh, sorry, there's 2 questions here. So from Angela, she's asking, what are the first steps? Do you suggest that clients meet with you to discuss the design style? Yeah, so that's a great question. And I would definitely say that it really depends on where in the process of your research you're at. Selecting a designer for your new home or renovation, interior architecture, or landscape, I always recommend take the time, make sure you dive in, find the right company that's credible, that's done lots of work before, that has good client testimonies, and that you connect with. I can't emphasize that more, because not every designer is for every client. There's different processes, different personality styles, in addition to the design styles, of course. So take your time and interview them properly and ask them the right questions, and just make sure you get a right fit for them. Now, in terms of what are the first steps, again, like I said, it really depends where in the research you are. If you're just starting out and you're thinking about either renovating or a new build, you can bring that information to us. If you're looking at us as a proponent, and we can tell you right from the beginning what you can do and can't do. There's a lot of education in the beginning process for yourself. We do a lot of education when we do consultations, because people just don't know what they can do or they can't do. In Vancouver especially, the city is fanatical, like about trees, about certain weird bylaws. So we've been navigating this for 25 years, and we can tell you just like that what you can or can't do. So that would be a good place to start. Just come in, tell us what your requirements are. If you have floor plans, if it's for a renovation, great, we can take a look at it. If not, photos of your current space. So that could be a good first step. Now, if you've done some research yourself already into different designers and have some information of what you can do or can't do, and you're further along, then welcome to come in and we can show you our portfolio of the past work that we've done, so you can see if there's any design aesthetic that appeals to you. We are not a design firm that is designing only one style. We do traditional, we do contemporary, and everything in between, transitional in between. So there's many different houses that we've done. I've designed over about 300 homes in Vancouver. So there's going to be things that you can see that's representational of the style that you may like. Again, every one of our houses are unique. So you're not going to find one that's exactly what you want, but finding something that's similar, has that similar feel, will give you that assurance that, hey, maybe you can do what you're looking for. So you can come in, look at our past work, understand our process, meet the team. Like I said, make sure there's a connection there, and maybe even show us the photos, the inspiration photos that you've gathered of the style that you like, and then we can gauge to see what that's like, and even give you some rough costs, because certain styles are more than others. Now, if you're especially concerned with the right style, that's where an in-office consultation will help, because then you're going to be able to show us the inspiration photos you have. You're going to see the portfolio, and we can even schedule a site tour possibly of one of the houses that we're doing, so you can actually see and feel the space. Because photos are one thing, there's wide angles and it can be misleading, but walking through a space and seeing how it's functionally designed, mixed in with aesthetics, that's a huge thing. So that's a long answer, Angela, sorry about that, but I hope that answers your question. And I would say whichever designer you go with, just make sure you spend the time, vet them properly, because it's a long process. And I like to describe it as a bit of a dating almost. You got to kind of do a bit of a tango, make sure that there's a right fit, and then that's when you'll get that right team, and that connection will really help. So another question that I have is from Miss JZ. How much does it cost to renovate or build a new house in Vancouver nowadays? Well, that is a tough question, especially right now. Prices are continuing to rise. Materials are continuing to delay, so we can't predict timelines as well anymore. But I would say that's quite a big question. I'll give you some general high-level answers here. There's many things that you need to first determine before we can give you that price in terms of reno. What is going to affect a reno, though, I'll share with you, is how many rooms are you renovating and what type of rooms. For instance, renovating a bedroom is simple. 4 walls painted, ceiling maybe, some lights, and a carpet, you're done. But if you're renovating a kitchen or a bathroom, there's much more stuff in there. There's cabinetry, there's stone countertops possibly, glass, mirrors, plumbing, faucets, tile. There's so much to those spaces that the costs are much more. So think about that. And then also other things that would affect costs is the complexity of the structure. Are you affecting the structure at all? If you're not moving any walls and it's just cosmetic finishes, simple. That's going to be quite cheap compared to you moving a wall or gutting the whole house, ripping the drywall out, replumbing the electrical and the pipes, re-supporting some beams, digging into basements. So those are kind of 2 extremes that I can share with you. So it's a hard question to ask, but what I would recommend, Ms. JZ, and anyone else interested, is come and attend our webinar. We actually have one coming up on June 4th, which answers exactly that. I'll have a bit more time. It'll be a 60-minute webinar, and there's question period at the end. But it's June 4th, 10 o'clock a.m., and it's called How Much Does a Reno Cost? So it's designed exactly to answer this question, which is, how much should I budget for reno? And we're actually going to show you case studies of small, medium, and large scale rentals so that you kind of get a feel for where all the costs could be. So that's going to be a very informational, educational webinar. So make sure you go to that one, and we will post up a link if you don't have it yet, or you can check out our Facebook, Instagram. There's the link right there. So you can click on that yourself, and make sure you register, and we'll I'll be happy to answer more questions at that time at the webinar about renovations. We're gonna have much more time there. But yeah, otherwise, if there's no more questions, that's great. I hope you guys enjoyed our first VE Live. We're going to continue doing this because one of the things that we love to do at Victoric is educate our clients, right? That makes the best types of clients. And we like to support our community that way. So we're going to continue doing VE Lives, and it's all focused on design information, construction information, because we do design and build, and for design we do architecture, interior, and landscape. So we'll cover all of that, and we may bring in some guests to talk very technical stuff. So if you're into that, make sure you follow us on our social channels everywhere, and tune into our next VE Live. Thank you. We will see you then.